So as you can tell over the last couple of weeks here, B-hopping is kind of broken. And we have nobody to thank but Valve for that, obviously. But I don't think the future of B-hop is one that looks bleak. I do think that we're going to have a bright future from the updates that I have seen and the information that has been coming out. But in this video, I just want to go over what's been happening the last couple of weeks and what we can expect in the near future. I also want to just go over what's going on with configs as well. I feel like that's something that's important that a lot of people have been asking and wondering. What's going on with the configs? Will they still work? Do they still work? And, you know, what we can hope to have as a config in the near future. Now, in order to begin, we need to go back in time all the way to July 28th of 2025 when Valve pushed out the infamous AnimGraph 2 update. Now, while the AnimGraph 2 update did bring a lot of new things that we haven't really seen since the release of Counter-Strike Go, which is new animations, we got some fixes to surf and a bunch of other few things that are pretty nice, except that one update kind of introduced a big issue that we're still dealing with today, in that it kind of broke B-hop. And so you're probably thinking, what do you mean it broke B-hop? Well, pretty simple. They tied your inputs in game to your FPS, and so the higher your FPS, the more likely it is that CS2 is going to miss an input. And this kind of basically killed bunny hopping. You couldn't bunny hop, you would just stick to the floor. Long jump binds would have you crouching instead of jumping, and jump bug binds just became super inconsistent. Except there was one small thing this day that I will mention, and it's that it kind of enabled super strafing. And so the higher FPS you had, the more strafes you do, it basically added a unrealistic multiplier to it. And so that was pretty much the result of the AnimGraph 2 update. The next day following this update, Valve fixed the little super strafing thing and moved on to trying to fix bunny hopping because they realized it was kind of broken. And so on the 29th, on the patch notes, they noted, fixed a case where movement button changes were ignored while adjusting view angles at very high frame rates. So trying to address the little input dependency on FPS. And then also fixed a case where air strafing would result in higher than usual velocities. This basically just patched the super strafing thing. Now with that, we also got a new command in the game that wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, and that is SV subtick movement view angles. This update basically put a hard wall between live server gameplay and bunny hopping. It is a cheat restricted command, and so when you set the command to 0, basically, it just let us B-hop like before the update on the 28th, and that's currently the state that we're in now with this command. With it, it's still enabled on all cheat protected servers, so matchmaking, Premiere, Faceit, all of this stuff. The only way you can B-hop like before is by going into your own server and disabling the command. And while everyone thought this was going to be the end of bunny hopping, we did see a comment left by a Valve employee on Reddit. And it starts off with a very hopeful message. Just so it's been said, there's no intent to break bunny hopping at this time or for the foreseeable future. This eased me, and it helped ease the worries of a lot of other people. In this post, he also mentions the command that I just talked about and just asking the community if it works and what we think about it. So fast forward to the next day, July 30th, we get a new little secret update, which we haven't seen something like this since like 2018, I think. And it was the release of a public beta build for CS2 titled B-hopping fixes. Now this update, it kind of answered everyone's questions. It showed us that Valve were working on bringing bunny hopping back in some capacity. Everyone was excited, and so Valve just pushed the update. They pushed the update, and on August 1st, we got a new set of patch notes, fixed a bug that would cause B-hopping penalty to continue to accumulate when jump had not been pressed, and bunny hopping's jump spam clock now starts at the instant the input is registered, rather than at the end of the subtick where that command was processed. This was basically just them trying to fix B-hop as much as they could. Ultimately, it didn't do too much, except there was a small thing they overlooked, and that is the fact that FPS is still tied to your player inputs. So after all this, August 2nd rolls around, and word starts traveling around Twitter that if you set your FPS max to 64, you're kind of going to get 100% purse every single time you jump if you have a desubticked jump like config. And so this basically turned comp unplayable for what people thought was going to be a couple of days, but turned out to be almost 2 entire weeks of people just being able to foon jump around the map. But eventually, like all great things, it must come to an end. And so August 14th rolls around, 12 days after the update, and Valve comes in clutch with one of their best fixes, I think, to date. What is this fix, you may wonder? Well, maybe it's them fixing the FPS dependency thing. Or maybe they just disable the command that I was talking about earlier to let us just BHOP normally. No. This is Valve we're talking about. They dropped this bar in their patch notes on August 14th. FPS max can no longer be changed while connected to a server. This basically meant that people's binds aren't going to work anymore. So you can't just set your FPS to 64 while in the game. But people obviously really quickly saw through this and realized you can just disconnect and set your FPS to 64 and then come back in and everything works exactly as it did before. And so this was kind of like a non-issue. It just kind of got in the way, you know, like it discouraged people enough to where you don't really see it used anymore. And that pretty much wraps it up. We haven't really had a update since the 14th. It is now the 21st as I'm recording this, and we're just looking to see what happens next. So now let's just get into what's happening right now, how you can sort of BHOP right now, and what's going on with the configs and all of that. Okay, so now that I'm in game, I can show you kind of what I was talking about with the bunny hopping. Right now, if you were to load into the game currently and go for a BHOP, this is kind of what's going to end up happening, which is a whole lot of nothing. You'd be lucky to get 1 or 2 BHOPs like that there, but most of the time you're looking at this. Now, if we were to take the command I was talking about and remove this wall that's been placed here, we can very quickly see that BHOPing is still very much alive in this game. And it looks really good, probably the best it's ever looked. It's actually maybe a little bit too easy with this, but this is what we could have right now if they just decide to remove that little command they added. That's kind of what's going on with BHOPing. Other than that, there's not really much we can do right now about it. Just have a desubtick config just so you can have the chance of hitting those 1 or 2, but hopefully when they remove the command border, they'll let us do this again. So that's that for BHOP. But fear not, while BHOP may be doomed, long jumping sort of isn't. And so right now, if you were to go into a game and go for a long jump, my key is space in this case, you'll see you'll just end up crouching. This is avoidable. So it's actually kind of explained in the command itself, the view angles part. Basically, if you're moving your mouse at high FPS, the game's not going to register the input, or at least the entirety of it. And so if you keep your mouse still, then it ends up working just fine. And so while you won't be able to BHOP, you'll still be able to hit jump bugs just fine. You just won't be able to BHOP after them. But yeah, that's currently the state of the game right now. Now I also want to just quickly show what I was talking about with you being able to set your FPS in the menu. So I just set my FPS to 64 in the menu before I loaded into this, and as you can see, the issue with bunny hopping is still very much existent in the game. You could go do this right now in matchmaking. Whether or not you want to put up with low frame rate for upwards of 20 rounds is up to you, but this is still an option that can still happen. I have also heard that if you set your FPS max to 128, it makes the BHOP slightly more consistent. I can't speak to that. It might, but personally, I don't want to play with 128 FPS for that many rounds. So try it out and let me know if it actually does anything for you. But yeah, that's you can still do this, but it's up to you if you want to do it for that long. When it comes to configs, you still need a config obviously to be able to do any of the stuff that I showed anyway. And so I'll have a download link for mine in the description. You can pretty much use anyone's though, as long as it's the most up-to-date one. If you have my old config that had the bind for the FPS toggle. All you have to do, because obviously it doesn't work anymore, just come into the config, look for these parts here, and just select them and delete them. That's all you need to do. Everything else in the config works just fine as is. Don't mess with it. If you need a tutorial on how to install one, I'll just show you really quickly. You download the zip file. In this case, I'll use my older one. You want to extract it, so you have all of this stuff right here. And then you go to your Steam, right click CS, manage, browse local files. And now this is where a lot of people get confused. You want to go to game and then CSGO and then CFG. And this is where you want to post it. Most people will get into their thing and go, oh, CSGO, CFG, and then paste it in here. It won't work. So game, CSGO, CFG, paste it in here, and then go into your game over here back into Steam or properties. And then in your launch options, you just want this one right here, the auto-exec.cfg, and you're good. This config should work even after they fix this. And ideally, what happens is that we're able to have just a singular auto-exec in the coming updates, because nobody wants to have a whole folder full of stuff just in order to be able to bunny hop in a video game. Like that's kind of crazy. So hopefully we won't need this anymore. If we don't, I'll be the first person to tell you you don't. But otherwise, you still have to use a config if you want to be able to do any movement stuff in the game. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything to add, any questions, obviously leave them in the comments. I'm working on maybe making a Discord. So for now, just send me a message on Discord, send me a message request. And otherwise, have a wonderful, splendid rest of your evening, day, or morning. Deuces.